I want you to burn this image into your brain. That steady stream from above could be an email from corporate, could be a directive from your boss. And your job is to take that information and make it relatable to your team. Right? That's what a great manager does. Hello everyone, welcome to the Now What podcast, episode 20. My name is Glenn Sharp. I'm the president and CEO of Sharp Leadership Developments. We are in beautiful Cincinnati. It is a 60-degree day today, so we are awfully happy here. There's 14 inches of snow on the ground melting. It's kind of messy, but it's also kind of cool. But we've got a lot to cover today, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get into a coaching question from Jeannette. And she wants to talk about a coaching concept from the book, Now What? My first coaching session with Johnny, and that is the concept of the strainer, right? And keeping things simple for your team. So basically, Jeannette talks a little bit about, this sounds like influence to me, and she's just not comfortable with that. I don't feel like I possess the ability to be creative and dilute the message down so that it's understandable for my team. My brain just doesn't work that way. All right, so what type of techniques do you have to help me? So Jeannette, you are not alone. When I teach Myers-Briggs, estimates show like pretty much 73% of the population are not creative. They're more left brain dominant. They're more of they follow instructions very well. They're very, very smart, but it's a little different being creative. And certainly there is some creativity. There is some influence in this, absolutely. But we'll talk about all that. But you're not alone, Jeannette. You and I have known each other for many, many years, and you know how I feel about this. I think it's something that you can get better at. I think we all have a dose of this in us. Some are more creative than others, but creativity takes on many different forms. You don't have to be an artist. You don't have to, draw or paint exceptionally well. Sometimes it's just finding creative ways to really get your team to understand things, right? But there are some specific techniques to it, and that's what we're going to discuss for you, all right? So, Jeannette, first things first, when we first met, you remember me, I'm sure, explaining this to you. Those of you that have followed the podcast so far, you know this is my favorite concept of all the concepts, and it's the results come. Your thinking drives your behavior drives your results, right? And one of the things, Jeannette, I want you to really think about is you personally coming to grips and understanding that communication and influence and making sure that you act like the strainer, right? It's your job. It's your job to simplify things. It's your job as a manager. So you've got to get good at it. It can't be something where you're like, oh, I wish I was good at it. If you're purposeful about it, there are lots of different ways to do this. And I know you, Jeannette, you can do this, all right? You probably do this in many different areas of your life, right? You just don't realize it. And certainly you can do it on the job. Right? The other thing I want you to think too is that you're not alone. All right? So Jeannette, I know you have people on your team. You've got a staff of like 40-something people. I know you have people on your team who are good at this. Let's just call them bright spots from previous episodes. Right? You got individuals on your team that despite the limitations, they knock it out of the park. Despite all the issues out there, they knock it out of the park. Your high potentials, whatever you want to call it, why can't you use some of your high potential, some of your bright spots to actually influence others and to make it simple? It doesn't just have to fall on you. And Jeannette, one of the things I want you to think about is in our coaching sessions, we talked a little bit about, I always use the concept of the shoulder pads. You have a tendency, as you know, to put it all on you. Imagine a set of shoulder pads, right? And as a manager of people, as a director, you've got many different layers of shoulder pads. And for something like this, I want you to take one of them off and maybe give it to a high potential. Imagine someone who does carry a lot of weight on your team and they go over a simplified version of the new initiative that came out. They make it simple. They strain it for the team, right? So it's not just on you. A great manager manages his or her assets at his disposal. And I want you to think the same way. So many managers think it's always on them. You have a team of people to help you, especially when you have top performers out there, right, on your staff. So keep that in mind. All right, so you see this new image, the strainer. This is just something I pulled off the internet, obviously, but I want you to burn this image into your brain because, again, this is what we're talking about. That steady stream from above could be an email from corporate, could be a directive from your boss, Jeannette. And your job is to take that information and make it relatable to your team. Right? That's what a great manager does. It figures out how to do it. So I'll give you an example, and I'll also give you an example of how to use the bright spots as well. So if you recall in the book, there is a famous story from when I was a young district manager where corporate gave us this initiative. So if you guys know Speedway locations, if you don't, it's a convenience store chain. It's pretty much national now. It might not be as present in the West. But it's a convenience store chain, kind of like 7-Eleven, and every single Easter they have obviously a suggestive sales item on their counter. So for example, every single Easter they have Reese's eggs. Everybody loves Reese's eggs, right? But for Speedway, they want to mandate how many and give goals to how many Reese's eggs a particular store needs to sell. So this one particular store got an email from corporate office. Corporate sent it right to the stores, and literally the email read, you guys need to sell 1,751 Reese's eggs by the end of the month. Right? Now, if you are a store employee or store manager, what are you thinking? Right? So you're probably thinking, there's no way you can do that. It's impossible. However, what I did is I got together with some of my top store managers and I asked them, hey, listen, we can't have this. What do you want to do here? Right? What's the best way to present this to your respective teams? Do you want whiteboards to track it? How do you want to do this? And basically, after some discussion, we came up with, why do we have to talk about the email? Why do we have to even deliver that message, 1,751 Reese's eggs? Why can't we just break it down per person, per shift? I said, awesome, do the math. And we did the math. And guess what? It was about, for some of the stores, because everyone has a different amount of employees, for some of the stores, it was 6 Reese's eggs that they had to sell per shift. Think about that. In fact, after we presented this to the store employees, one person was like, hell, I can eat 6 Reese's eggs in a shift. I'll just buy it myself. Right? Now, that wasn't our intent, but it's that easy, right? So once you filter it, once you strain it to the point where the message that we gave them was something that they could easily relate to, but they could also easily accomplish, it's a heck of a lot better than just sending something directly from corporate. Right? Corporate doesn't do that. So what we did is we had whiteboards. We put that on the whiteboard. We even had some suggestive sales contests, things like that. We totally disregarded the email from corporate. Now, when I say that, I don't mean we said, no, we're not doing it. I said we disregarded the actual words, right? We put it in our own words so that people could understand it. Imagine if somebody explained something to you, a complex topic, and you had to explain it to a child. You definitely would not use the same verbiage. Well, this is the same thing. Okay, you're going to cater to your audience. Remember from our talk in regards to influence. If you want to influence someone, who's more important, you or them? And the answer is them. So Jeannette, you've got to get good at influence. But getting good at influence means utilizing the tools at your disposal, but also it's thinking about your audience. If I'm an audience member, what do I want to hear? How is this going to come across to me? That's the best way to influence others. Remember, it's not sales, okay? I guess in a way you're kind of selling them, but influence is just making sure that you're speaking on their terms. But it's also getting them to do things that they ordinarily would not do. So for example, let's get back to the Reese's eggs. If you think that if me and my bright spots, if you think we just settled on 6, you're wrong. In fact, I asked some of the top store managers, hey, do you want to go with 6? What do you want to go with? And they're like, no, I want to go with 10. Right? Influence is, if you recall from our previous podcast, it's getting people to do things that they ordinarily would not do. Right? And if we have set a goal of 10 per person, well, if we come in at 9, we still not only achieved our sales goals, but we blew them out of the water. Right? And that's the difference between a mediocre manager and a great manager, in my opinion. It's pushing, it's stretching, making it fun. We had cool sales contests where the winning store I got to take them to lunch the winning salespeople to lunch, and they can get whatever they want at any restaurant they want. We did all sorts of cool stuff. We pitted a couple of stores against each other. The store managers would call and just mess with each other. This is where we're at. This is where we're at, right? Just having fun. That's the way to influence others, right? So a couple of things I want you to think about in regards to the way that you can do this. So for example, I'm a huge believer in every single meeting of situational training. And what I like to do is I like to put people in situations and ask them, what would you do? So imagine you get an initiative from corporate, or like for example, a safety initiative from corporate. This is a famous story that I tell all the time, where a couple of people got hurt on the job, and rather than just reading an email, they had a discussion, but they put themselves in a situation and say, okay, what happened here? Or what do you think happened here? And it wasn't reading the email. It was, guys, right, what do we do in this situation to prevent something like this? How do we handle this on our team? Right? And it is proactive, it is thinking ahead, planning ahead, but it's putting people in situations before they happen, right? And that can easily come from a new initiative. A new initiative comes down, and they might say something along the lines of, hey, listen, we need to look at training our employees. Rather than reading an email about training employees on something new, it is, hey guys, how are we going to handle this? This is the goal. We need to get people trained up and ready to go for this. How do we want to handle this on our team? All right, and that would be a situational training opportunity, and that would be something that would be smart. All right, smart way to go about doing it. Emails. One of the things I want you to think about as it relates to the strainer mentality is never forward an email onto your team. I make that a rule when I coach individuals, that you will never ever send the same message directly to your team. You always scrub it, you always filter it, you always make sure it's in language that we can understand. It's in giving examples that are specific to our area. That is unbelievably important. And then the final concept on this screen that you see here is something that I teach in change management. As you guys know, I teach change management at the graduate level at the University of Cincinnati. The concept from change is shrink the change. So for example, rather than creating the illusion that this is a whole new change and that we have to start from scratch, you might say things like, listen, this is the same as what we did last year. The only thing that we're tweaking is 25% of it. It's this, but let's just revise this part of it, right? And most people are like, oh, all right, well, that's not bad. That's exactly right. It's not bad at all. It's when people think that they have to start from scratch and the task is daunting, that's when they start to resist. That's when they start to really, for them it's impossible, right? That's their mindset. It's impossible, it can't be done. When in fact, it's just a couple small tweaks, or we've done this before, we can do it again. And that's one of the things, Jeannette, I want you to think about. I want you to think about, techniques like this, where you can get ahead of problems, or you can put some of the new initiatives and the new changes that they want to instill within your group through situational leadership training or situational training. Through emails, never ever forwarding email, always putting it in terms that others can understand, right? Specific terms that are very relatable but specific to your team. And then of course, shrink the change, right? Making sure that these guys understand, hey, listen, we're already doing this, right? It's not as daunting as it looks like, right? And we've done something like this before, or we've done this very thing before. This is just a little bit different. So those techniques really, really work well, and I encourage you, Jeannette, to think about those. Think about how that applies to your team. Well, I hope this was helpful, guys. We'll continue to attack these real-world scenarios moving forward here. I think I've gotten a lot of really good feedback from individuals who are watching the video. Don't forget to pick up my book, Now What? All right, a lot of the concepts that we talk about in these videos are right from Now What, just like Jeannette read about the strainer. Certainly all the tips, tricks, and techniques are in this book as well. Remember, it's available on Amazon. You can get it on paperback or ebook, and soon it'll be available on Audible. So go ahead and look out for that. It's a perfect way to get you and your employees off to a great start in 2026. It's especially great for brand new managers or high potential employees who are training to become managers, and really gets them on a level playing field with their peers. All right, so join us in episode 21, our next episode. We're going to tackle something that's kind of dicey. There's no doubt about it. It's a question from Michael in Cincinnati regarding how to deal with a micromanaging boss. All right, talk about a tough scenario. So I'll go ahead and tackle that in our next episode. I hope you enjoyed the information for this episode. Good luck in your management and leadership journey, and I'll see you in episode 21.